in a media-induced world, constant flow of media simulations, television, 24/7 news channels, social media, constant flow of YouTube sensations. There seems to be no end to it. There are multiple ways of looking at this phenomenon, the meaning of living in a media-saturated world, its possibilities or its discontents. However, in this episode of Cultural Matrix, I am going to reflect on one particular dimension of this media-induced culture, 24/7 television news channels, primarily primetime panel discussions. To begin with, let me make it clear that my intention is not to speak of any particular star television anchor, his or her stormy and noisy presence on the screen, and his or her political biases and the noisy symbols or the toxic messages he or she emits. Instead, as a keen observer of social life, as a concerned citizen, I am going to reflect on this entire phenomenon, which I would regard as the pathology of our television news channels and the messages these channels seek to convey, or the way the debates are conducted in these channels. I think that we cannot go deeper into this phenomenon unless we understand one basic thing, unless we characterize our time, the times we live in. It would not be entirely wrong to say that the time we live in, the society we inhabit, is being characterized by a mix of two forces. One is the force emanating from certain kind of militant nationalist discourse, and the second is from the recklessness or the instrumentality of the neoliberal global capitalism. In other words, we see an alliance of market rationality and militant nationalist politics. Our times are being poisoned, conditioned, and shaped by the play of these twin forces. And possibly what we see on our television channels and the way panel discussions, primetime panel discussions are conducted cannot be adequately comprehended and understand unless I locate this television-induced culture in the society we live in and the society that is being characterized by an alliance of these twin forces, neoliberal market rationality and the aggression of militant nationalism. And when we understand that, then I think it becomes easier for us to make sense of the pathology that we witness in the name of 24/7 television news channels and the kind of discussions these channels initiate. What immediately comes to my mind is what many social scientists would love to regard as the manipulation of the public sphere, the manipulation of the domain of communication. Ideally, a democratic, open-ended, pluralist public sphere is bound to cultivate the ethos of democracy, debate, mindful listening, nuanced art of conversation, and largely a democratic worldview sensitive to the debate and to the plurality of perspectives and worldviews, and a way of negotiation, a way of conversation and dialogue. But when this sphere, when this public sphere, or in this case, this media, being heavily manipulated and shaped by the instrumental logic of the system, be it the logic of militant nationalism or be it the logic of profit and the money making, then what happens is that dialogic sphere, communicative sphere, which is potentially democratic, that loses its possibility and that is being shaped by the logic of the system, in this case, the logic of militant nationalism as well as the logic of the market. And when it happens, its consequences are obvious, which almost every night on our television channel we witnessed. News is reduced into boxing, and debate degenerates into a war, and war between two stereotypes, Hindu versus Muslims, Deshbhakts versus Tukre Tukre gang, or cultural nationalist, religious nationalist, patriots versus pseudo secular liberals. And this is the discourse that is being perpetually disseminated, no matter whether one is dealing with Bofors or Rafale, dealing with Gujarat riots or 84 riots, or emergency or today's regime. The debate would invariably degenerate into a noisy, ugly exchange of words, and it would be degenerated into a war of binaries and the opposites. As a result, our understanding, nuanced understanding of nationalism, secularism, cultural pluralism, or the real issues that confronting the large section of people, the subaltern, the middle class, the marginalized section of society, women, hardly occupy the attention. It becomes merely a noisy, ugly exchange of words and gestures. And that indeed is very tragic, which we are witnessing today. And the second thing that I wish to reflect on in this regarding this, apart from the manipulation of the public sphere or the manipulation of the media, another thing has happened in our times. In the age of market and consumption, a new cult of stardom has emerged. So what has happened as a result of the cult of stardom, that serious journalism has begun to suffer. Instead of serious, committed journalists striving for truth, undergoing a ground reporting, looking at things deeply, clearly, with a penetrating eyes, with honesty, what is happening is the emergence of stars. So among ourselves, we find star news readers, star anchors. And when stardom becomes more important than the substance, then what we see is that every night we as captive audience are taken for granted. We begin to consume these anchors as stars. So we say that it is Mr. X's show, Mrs. Y's show. So apart from serious journalism suffers, and what emerges is a cult of narcissism, culture of narcissism, and these stars are seen as products, and television channels and many of these channels with political and corporate interest would sell these stars as branded names, as products, and we as consumers love to consume these products and these stars. So it is the birth of the star, birth of the narcissistic, noisy television anchor, and as a result, creative journalism, serious journalism, critical debate begin to suffer. When all this we see happening in front of our eyes, one question that I ask myself, that what did happen to us? That isn't it the fact that many of these speakers, many of these star anchors on our television channel conduct their programs in English. And these programs are being consumed by the aspiring, urban, metropolitan, affluent middle class, English-speaking class with a high degree of cultural, social and economic capital settled in the metropolis of India in different urban centers. Does it then indicate that despite our formal education and socio-economic privilege, something has gone terribly wrong with our consciousness, with the way we look at the world? Otherwise, what could be the reason that every night we open our television channels and keep consuming these toxic, stimulant, noisy messages, and where debate gets degenerated into a boxing, into a kind of war? Is it that despite our education, we remain ethically, morally, intellectually impoverished? And I believe that's why when we reflect on the pathology of this culture, it is also important to look at as the kind of degeneration, educational, moral, ethical, cultural degeneration that many of us have passed through, have undergone. And that's why one question that I often ask myself, is it the time that we become truly awakened, we activate our critical faculty, and we are capable of distinguishing truth from propaganda and distinguishing real substance from the glitch of stardom, and begin to see the world with clarity, with critical insight, and allow ourselves. Is it the time that we activate our critical faculty? And is it the time that we learn and unlearn and make it possible to distinguish truth from falsehood, truth from propaganda machinery, and serious journalism from the glitch of stardom? And this is the only way I feel to resist, to interrogate, to question what we have been witnessing these days.